In 22 years, the last office we opened up was in Atlanta, and it started very similar. VMI saw that the potential there, and the music business in Atlanta has more than exploded in the past 22 years, and that has grown to VMI office there. I think now it's about 18 people. So we're very excited to be here in Texas, and very honored and very eager to be ingrained in the Texas music scene and the Texas music culture. Although one thing I love about Texas music is, you can say Texas music, but it's country, it's rap, it's hip hop. It's you look at what's come out of Texas recently with Travis Scott, with Post Malone, St. Vincent, Maren Morris. There's so much talent in this state. And being a native Texan, spent the past almost 27 years in Nashville in the music business. Very excited to be back home. And Ben and I go back. I co-founded a software development company 11 years ago and grew it from 8 people to about 135 people now. So, and I was involved in project music at the Nashville Entrepreneur Center, and got to know Ben through there. And we had a mentoring session together a year or 2 ago. Forget now, it all kind of runs together. So thanks for inviting me, and thanks again, Dr. Renard, for having me here at the conference.
Something like Travis Scott and UTSA back there.
So as you guys can see, this industry is made up of a lot of connections and again, a lot of resources. And so how many of you out there have made a song? That's most of this room, and I'm glad to see that. That song is as tangible as my Topo Chico here. Someone needs to come and pay for it. The only thing about this Topo Chico is it's a physical product. It has to be reproduced over and over and over and over. And when the music industry worked in that fashion, they used tapes, 8 tracks, vinyls, CDs, and those physical sales led to the revenue that you would see when you got paid in royalties for tracks sold and other things, and other plays through great PROs like BMI. And so the big thing that's happening that's creating this music modernization act is streaming music. And downloads to a lesser degree, but primarily streaming. Did you guys know that your song can be played 1,200 times and you only get $1 for that one play? Well, those big power players, legislators who are looking at this, they're the individuals that you really want to go ahead and begin speaking with to change the amounts that you are paid for certain things, for royalties and other things. So now you guys are beginning to understand the power structure. Where do some of these folks fit into it? Again, myself, I'm in the live entertainment scene, but if you look at these 2 great gentlemen right here, they are here to connect you with those customers that you really need to grow. They are already plugged into the networks, and so I wanted you guys to talk about different KPIs that you use, both data and gut, to then find the artists that you guys are really looking for. Start. Anyone? You want me to start? I can talk about data.
So, I've been professionally, I still am a professional musician since '94. So I remember the old days of physical sales being incredible and all that stuff, et cetera, et cetera. And back then, we most definitely focused on, in the studio, creative, right? Gotta have talent. Gotta have image, you gotta have everything else, but talent has to be there. To this day, I do focus on that. Yes, I'm looking, when we're looking at talent, I look at their socials. What are the numbers? What's there? What are they posting? What kind of image are they, projecting? I'm looking at that. But I really, really believe that we deal in music. So if the base is music talent, that's what I want first. If you can grow into something else, there's plenty of people that have gone from being a musician to an actor, personality, radio, etc. Then that's cool, right? That's an added bonus. But we do look at the talent first. That's a must. And I do believe that if, as an artist, if you have a chance to put yourself in front of people, and if that means for promotional fee, in other words, you pay for free, get yourself in front of people. No matter what, you play in front of people, you're gonna start building a fan base. Numbers online is one thing, but I always tell people, do those 5,000 that like your post, does that equal ticket buys, tour sales? No, most of the time doesn't. I'm not saying that it doesn't for some people, but sometimes at the level that you're beginning or you have a regional fan base, you have to encompass both models, the old school of marketing and the digital. So the company, our model is hitting radio for ads, street promotion, talking to the club, the most popular club DJs in the market. At the same time, we're working with the digital platforms. We pitch for playlists. We're creating some kind of social media marketing plan. You know, the song is about Mother's Day. Well, for the next 4 weeks, we're going to be kind of leading up to that build till Mother's Day, whatever it be. We're looking, you said about data. So, yeah, I mean, once I'm in the studio and I'm done with it, as far as done with the project, whatever it be, let's say it's a single release and it's focused on Mother's Day. So if it's Mother's, I say like it's coming up, and we do have a single release coming up from one of our bands, focused on Mother's. That's done. We create our marketing plan. We're looking at who we can work with, and let's say our top band has numbers. So we're looking at, you know, what's happened, what's worked with them with maybe a previous title, similar, maybe talking about love, but love of a mom or something. We're looking at Spotify analytics. We're looking at past social media analytics and information. I'll throw out apps right away. If you're putting out your material already, Spotify for Artists is one. I mean, you can just connect your Spotify artist profile to your app, and you can start looking at your analytics. You can do a lot of things through there with the Spotify for Artists app. Next one is, and they get a bad bash. They get like a bad rap, sorry. Pandora. Pandora has a similar thing. It's called Pandora AMP. You sync up your profile to your account. Similar thing as well. YouTube has YouTube Studio, and I'm looking at that sucker every day, several times a day. Seeing what's happening, what kind of video content the audience of an artist is gravitating to. I was telling Ernest right now that, you know, for every music video we do for an artist, we're doing 6, 7 video content related things. So if the song's about Mother's Day, you're gonna see, like every week leading up to Mother's Day from that artist, some type of video. Maybe one of the band members is gonna interview his mom about growing up and how you were, you know, oh mom, you're a big influence. The following week it could be something related, but not as exact. But it's all interrelated, and we start seeing numbers grow. Who they are, our demo, who they are, where they're coming from. And it's blowing our mind because a lot of it now, for us, regional Mexican, it's all East Coast.
There you go. You have anything on that? Sorry.
Yes. So I look at everything from a perspective of I was an artist, but now I'm a strictly numbers guy. So I start working with an artist for a release 4 weeks out. Even before I pick up an artist, we go through the social media and things of that nature, see have they released anything before. What I see, because I deal with mostly R&B and hip hop, what I see is that everybody usually focuses more on show, uploading stuff on SoundCloud, which is good. All those things are really, really good. But what I see that hurts the artists is when they release their projects, there's no marketing behind it. So they don't think of marketing. They think of, you know, anybody here, would you pay me $100 a minute for 7 minutes? You would? You pay me $100 a minute? Yeah, he looking like that. So most people are paying $700 for 7 minutes to perform, you know, for a spot. When that could have been your whole marketing budget. See, so I look at things like that. I crunch the numbers. I see. I can basically I can kind of see about how much an artist is going to sell under my label by looking at their content, how much time they post, how much they post. And then, not only that, I look at what's the best money stream. You know, is it going to be Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and you got to put all those things together, right? And everybody know about each stream and things of that nature. Well, how many streams for a single? One sale, you know, about 150. You got to stream 150 times for one sale. For an album, 1,500, give or take. It depends on which tier you're in. So, what would be smart enough, because I know everybody wants to be, you know, oh, I'm on iTunes, I'm on Spotify. You're not taking advantage of just selling your stuff straight from the website. You're getting your dollar right there, or your $9 right there. And if you have everything in place, meaning your publishing, your sound scan, your sound exchange, sound scan, BDS, everything lined up, that one sale from your website counts. And I get it.
I'm gonna jump in here. So I guess I want you guys to see a perspective here, especially with Ernest and Carlos. They're running businesses that help you accelerate yourself. And so I run a small startup. If you notice at the beginning, Mitch began by saying, hey, he brought me to Nashville because my small business was doing well enough here in San Antonio. They said, hey, we should get our eyes on that. He trained me up to, again, understand the industry better. And their perspective is they're looking for businesses like yours right now that produce music to see how many customers you have so that they can then come in and accelerate it. Just like I went to Nashville and I was accelerated with more information, with funding, with a number of things, a number of resources that these gentlemen offer to then go ahead and get my business. And so that's what they're here to do. Once they see those key performance indicators that we were talking about that make them jump up and say, hey, we have a lot of overlap, like a Venn diagram. Your customers are our customers, so you should sign up with us. And so now that you're signed up with these two gentlemen, we're going to look at Mitch there at the end when it comes to how do you then get paid? Who is watching Spotify, YouTube, Pandora, all of these streaming and download services to make sure that when you're named, even if you're not the performing artist, if you're the songwriter, if you're the composer, making sure that your name is on that in the metadata so that it trickles down to you whenever it's played on a jukebox or anywhere else. That's Mitch's goal, and I'm going to let him take over from there.
You know, that's a great point, man. Knowing, and this is a business of pennies that can make you millions of dollars, and understanding where those pennies are, and knowing that there are a lot of buckets where these pennies drop, and making sure you have all of your buckets. Sound Exchange, all of them. We get an email once a week that shows top 50 Spotify playlist and the performing rights organizations along with the songwriters. There is one song right now that has over 3.5 million spins or streams. I still say spins because I was a DJ back in the day and I put vinyl on a turntable and played it on the radio. So it's hard for me to get past that. Not showing my age. So, but hey, vinyl's back. So, but they have 12 million views on YouTube, 3.5 million streams, just this one song. And Spotify does not know the performing rights organization for one of the co-writers. That's money sitting out there. That's owed to that writer. That's deserved to that writer because they are the creator of that. And that's money that you're sitting in a room with your friend going, hey, let's write this song, and it's cool, and next thing you know, you blink, and it has 12 million views on YouTube. That starts adding up into money. And that's not counting, we do performance royalties. That's not counting how many people have probably gone and downloaded that song, so that writers also do mechanical royalties as well. So they wrote this song, had a great time, and next thing you know, his buddy, the co-writer, has money in his pocket, and this guy doesn't, just because he doesn't have his foundation laid down. And the great thing about technology now is you can see. Back in the old days, you didn't know exactly how many times something was played on the radio. We now monitor radio stations, digitally. You can see. I was on the tour bus last Saturday night with Randy Rogers, who's a well-known country artist here, and he just released a new single, and he's sitting there with his phone watching in real time streams on Spotify, the data. You know, these guys can see instantly where their marketing dollars are working or not. You can see all these analytics in real time, and data now enables us to pay out more money, find out more where that money is needed to be collected. And for these guys, how many records they're selling down to exact numbers. I worked with artists back who had hits in the 60s and 70s, and they didn't quite know how many records were sold or how many of the times their songs were played, because the technology wasn't in place and the data wasn't there.
Go ahead.
Oh, so metadata, you mentioned metadata, you mentioned, just making sure all your registrations are in order, and that's so true. Raise of hands of who's released music here through TuneCore, CD Baby. A couple of years ago, they were very laxed. If you, let's say you covered The Temptations, or whoever, right? Cover band, a song from the 60s or 70s. Oh yeah, you don't have to worry about putting the writer there. Not anymore. I had no joke, a week ago, I had 3 friends that do a lot of production work, and they assist their clients on, uploading these things into CD Baby accounts, stuff like that. And hey, how do I look for songwriter information? Like, you gotta be kidding me, man. Like, you've been in this business with me that long. Is that important? Because like you said, the respect to the writer, the respect to the writer, number one, right? To make sure they get their royalties for the use of their composition, and as an artist as well. You mentioned Sound Exchange. It's all these different metadata information that has to be in line for you to get those pennies that are everywhere distributed. I had a talk with, you mentioned Randy, I had a talk with him a couple months ago at a Recording Academy event, because his company and our company, we share the same kind of business model. We're full 360. We're 360. So if we have a hit on radio that's top 10, and it's doing well on Pandora, on Spotify, we need to make sure registration with you guys is taken care of for the writer, a Randy, let's say. Make sure it's registered with SoundScan BDS for radio, and make sure it's Sound Exchange that it's registered correctly for the digital performance royalties, and et cetera, and et cetera, and et cetera. It's a little tedious, but guess what? Later on down the road, when those checks come in, that's the important.
And registering your songs is key. These guys do it for the mechanical licensing side of it. We had a situation where someone called us and said, "Hey, I'm not getting any money from BMI." They had not registered their songs. That's like going and buying an F-150 with no gas in the tank, and going to Ford and go, "Hey, why does my truck not go?" You have to put gas in the tank. So when you set up with a PRO like BMI, you need to register all your songs, because if we don't know, and that goes back to the one artist that has 12 million views on YouTube and 3.5 million streams on Spotify. If we don't know, if Spotify doesn't know, then we can't distribute any money. So understanding that you need to register all these small pieces that will end up creating an income stream for you. And once you set it up once, we know, they know, SoundScan knows, and the next thing you know, you have the money show up in your bank account.
And that's why we start off before. And all that done.
All right, guys, well, we're running into the last 5 minutes here, and I wanted to come back to our power map. Remember that I can't write on it all.
Up the board. It's like my learning report.
There it is. But I guess you understand that there's other businesses out there. Let's just say each business is a black box. The big one that we're looking at right now, streaming, that involves this Music Modernization Act and mechanical rights as opposed to performance rights. There are these black boxes of here's Spotify, here's Pandora, here's YouTube, here's all these different services. And when I said you have to do the research to understand how they operate, so you're registered, so you're signed up, so that when you go to somebody who collects money, either performance or mechanical, you can collect it. And that's the big piece, because remember in the beginning, we made our Topo Chico. This is what you guys are good at. There are people in this industry that are good at a lot of other things, like distribution, Spotify and others, about marketing and managing all of the aspects of a live entertainment business. And it's extremely complex. Just like I run a small startup that's technology focused, I got a guy that has a PhD in statistics who helps me with those types of things. I got a guy who has an MS in computer science to help me build out the site. So you guys need those same types of professionals that can get you the right resources, that can fine tune your product so it gets these sales, that gets these guys' attention and say, hey, we need you to be on our roster so we can collect these pennies that are flowing through all of these systems for you. Cool. Cool. All right, guys. Thanks so much for being here.
So I wonder if I have still a bookmark. I found a product that has a calendar, a year calendar. Each day it tells you what to post and what to distribute. I'll see if I can find it. I think just social media. I guess what I just. I mean, it's general questions that we can adapt. So.
Now to find my glasses. I had them in my hand. They walked over here with me. Thank God they're just $1.
Oh, well, you know. Are you staying?
How are you?
Right? Hey, how's it going?
Staying busy? Staying busy? Staying busy?
Oh, always. Again, trying to support my son. I just, you know, I just was going through something and found your card that I got from you last year. Was going through, and then I saw you up the other day. You are still doing the radio?
Yeah.
So depending on how far
Yeah, we're over at Can't Swim now.
I may actually request a meeting with.
So what does that mean?
I just haven't decided.
That means he can be too.
That means growth.
Yay! Is it? I believe so.
I don't know what question to ask though. It's like when I'm in Frank Dukes and it's like I have no idea what.
Is Ernest speaking at any of them? I didn't see his name on these names.
I'll catch you during the network break. I'm trying to think. I want to make sure I have the right questions. I also don't know how much to know.
I did talk to my son. His name is Ashton Levinson. He played.
In San Antonio.
That's his company. He played drums, but he also produced.
Ooh, is he here?
He's here.
I saw him. I recognize the hair. Look, Paul. This is his son.
That's like a subset. I mean,
And he also is a musician who's played with a couple of different people as far as a drummer. But he produces track. Young lady named Mia. He's produced one of her tracks in her class.
Oh shit, okay, you know Amia, okay.
He produced one of her tracks. He's just recently working with a guy in Atlanta some music. And just looking for musicians looking for the right musician.
Exactly. Because there's where, the MC hang out, but then there's
Just hang out, exactly.
hang out.
And just
Different.
what to ask him. You hear all this stuff, and it's short, 15 or 20 minutes. It's just so much information. I know he said
You can hit them up anytime. Did they tell you to say that? Oh, it is, that's my CEO, my record. The one that was sitting where the young lady is sitting, when he said read books, approach him, talk to him.
And that's what you want to know. Okay, where do you start? How do you start? You ask those
Yeah. He does consultations. We do like Vicky and I, we do mentoring sessions. Consult. Yes. I remember talking to him before, last year, when he was here. This is a special place. I do have a special place. I have a special place because I have an iPhone. Put it right here.
Thank you, Drew. Okay, I think we're going to get started here. This is talent incubation. We'll talk about that in just a second. We'll start with some introductions. My name is Warren Mize. I'm in Central ISD, where most of us are educators, or a lot of us are educators in some way, shape, or form. And we started music business industry class 2 years ago. The Country Music Association has recognized it nationally. It's just taking off. And we master in identifying and developing talent. So we'll just go down the road here and then bring it back this direction, and then we'll start with some of the questions that shared some of the thoughts about this, and we'll see where it takes off from here. So.
Good morning, everyone. How are you doing?
Good.
My name is Diana Arevalo. I am a former politician. I'm a former state representative. And I served in a recent capacity as an executive director of a small nonprofit called the Network for Young Artists. My background is in live entertainment and in music. I used to work for Live Nation Ticketmaster, worked with several musical artists, handling their press and public relations for the American Grammy Awards for multiple years. And I'm truly honored and humbled to be here with all of you. And I look forward to being on this panel with so many talented individuals as well. Thank you.
Morning, everybody. My name is Jim Waller. I'm the coordinator of the Music Industry Studies program at the University of the Incarnate Word. And I was a professional musician for, I won't even say how many years. But I've been teaching for about 20, and I love it. And I'm very happy to be on a panel with a bunch of professionals.
Hi, my name is Marius Perone. I'm a sixth-generation Texan. Been here all my life. Grew up in San Antonio, went to high school here, went to college up in Austin, studied electrical engineering, but all during that time I was playing in a band with my younger brother. When I got out of college, I was lucky enough to get a job in a recording studio. And people would come up and say, hey man, that's cool. How do you learn how to do that? So back in 1978, I started a school that teaches about sound engineering, and I call it the Audio Engineering Institute.
I'm Troy Peters. I'm the music director at YOSA, or Youth Orchestras of San Antonio. I've lived in San Antonio for about 10 years. And so I think I'm on this panel for two reasons. One is in working with the youth orchestra, I'm part of the next generation of classical music instrumentalists in this city. I work with the very best high school age musicians in town. But I also have an ongoing interest in cultivating connections between other styles of music and classical music, and a series called Classic Albums Live that Yosa produces at the Tobin Center, where we work on identifying a lot of young bands and featuring them on stage at the Tobin Center with a full orchestra behind them, paying tribute to great records. We've done live versions of OK Computer and Abbey Road and Hotel California and Purple Rain. This last year we did Thriller, which is a very interesting bit of timing. Anyway, and I have a lot of experience on kind of looking at how you develop a young band or a young recording artist and connecting them to other performance opportunities outside of their own genre.
And we can probably share the two down there, share the two right here. There we go. Okay, this is an interesting concept, and I thought, well, what talent incubation? And I've told people many times before that, yes, I'm an educator, but what I do, I spend most of my time identifying talent. And of course, we're dealing with a lot of young people, college age, high school age people. I know that Troy Peters and Yosa, they are very good with school systems because that's where you feed your programs from. And so we spend a lot of time looking looking at doing, I mean, all of this is here on this panel, probably, we dealt with that individual, and other things that they're gonna be the next Elton John, or they're gonna be the next Bob Rock, or whatever. And they're here on stage, and we know that's not the case. We know that they've got to have some help, and that's sort of what we do. We help them learn where their streets are, where their weaknesses are. It's by definition, incubation, we just see some new people.
There. Did Nick make it?
Yeah, he had to go move his car, man. He's like, I parked over there. I was like, you might want to go here. Careful over here, man.
That's our CEO. My record label. And look at these youth working with him. I like that. Let's go.
Actually helped consult together. Claire, unfortunately, is out on medical leave very suddenly. So asked me to fill in as moderator, and I'm pleased to do so. But this is really her panel and the NAMM Foundation. So basically, the back is like you don't know about NAMM. You should know about NAMM. So having the first go over every weekend about NAMM Foundation. But I do, so the way we're going to do this is I'm going to ask everyone who they are, a little bit what they do, and then we're going to really talk about music. Why is it we do what we do? Hopefully we can answer some of those questions for you, and then later on you can find a little bit different perspective than marketing, whatever. Whether you're nonprofit or not, advocacy would be a simple word.
Morning, friends. My name is Adam Stewart. I'm honored to be here as well. I am the executive director for San Antonio Sound Garden. We're a 501c3 here in San Antonio that is building an educational pipeline for the music industry. So our advocacy begins at a younger age, making sure our young people have the tools necessary to succeed by the time they get to college and industry professionals. They know how to create business of excellence, they know how to produce their music with excellence, and then the business component of it, and actually turn their passions into full-time careers. That's what they're doing. But I followed the prompt. Right. Fantastic.
We have around two with musical bridges around the world. We are a performing arts company charged with a mission to unite, educate, inspire, and culturally diverse performing and visualized programming. My background is actually in classics and neurobiology, and I always loved music and had it in my soul. Now I surround myself with artists and with industry and with living it.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Ann Shelley with the Children's Chorus of San Antonio. Another nonprofit working with kids of all ages in San Antonio. We believe strongly that all children's lives are enhanced by music in their lives, even starting at a very young age. Whether they grow up to become neurobiologists or doctors or lawyers, everyone benefits from having music
we are musicians. Hands down. How many people do something else? That's awesome. And the point of that is that music education actually, it unlocks certain things in your mind. But a lot of people don't know, because I have a degree in computer engineering, and something that I actually use, right? I enjoy technology a lot. And I think that a lot of those things go hand in hand, but kids that are exposed to music, they have better test scores. They have, there are things that are unlocked in your mind by learning music. And it just goes to show that nobody is one-dimensional. I think pretty much everybody in this room raised their hands and questions, and that it's something that's really eye-opening, something I hope that we explore.
So I think that leads right into my question is him, is first thing is, why we do what we do. You talked about your background, that you're now leading this. What is it about that, your passion, that led you to where you are? Do you agree?
Life is a journey. I want to say that my family comes from the old world in India. They were close to Mexico, also the old world. Classical traditions have their roots in Europe. And there's something just very fundamental. In the old world, there's not a conversation about the value of art. It is. It exists. In the new world, it's a very young country. We're 50 plus years old. When I work at justifying support, because we believe great art should be accessible to all. We make our public programming free. In order to do that, you have to have sponsors, supporters, foundations, partners, that. So when you talk sometimes to civic leaders, corporate business leaders, you have to explain what we call ROI, the return on investment. Why? Well, this can sometimes be a nebulous single part of music. We know, as musicians, many of you in the room are, the value of it is intrinsic. How do you translate that? Well, it is an economic play. It is an occupation. It is something that should be the value, not value added. It's not just discretionary. It's not just entertainment. It's not just something that you do because it's fun. Whether art is architecture or cuisine or fashion or theater or cinema, sculpture, music, performing arts, it is part of who we are and how we communicate our human legacies around the world. And therefore, it is important that forming this industry share that intrinsic, very valuable thing, and to make sure that people, especially leaders in our community, don't work to have that understanding and share that with us and support it.
So, Jay, while I appreciated your question, it's also a question that can be very unnerving for a musician. When people ask you, what do you love to do, or what do you do for a living? You gotta make music, and then say, well, what do you really do? Right? And I say, no, I make music, and then they're confused. This is something that has guided me in this work that we're stepping into now with this organization, and as a musician as well. I play the saxophone and make my own music personally, and I want to exist in a world where I can tell my future children, hey, you can make music and you can make a career, and it's going to be profitable, and you can take care of your future family, and here's how you do it. And so that really inspired me. I never thought I always told myself, I'm not gonna earn money from music because that'll take the joy out of it. And for a moment it did, because I didn't know how to do it. And I still don't completely know how to do it now, so I'm learning alongside everybody else, right? And it's a beautiful process. But the mission of this organization came from kind of that feeling of like, I don't want there to be starving artists. I don't want that to be a word anymore that exists. The fact that that's like a common phrase, or to perpetuate that. Like that's very, it's like, I don't get angry, but it's something that really like is unnerving for me. And so stepping into this organization, we originally designed it for music professionals and people your age and people in the industry. We realized we were missing out on a whole population of individuals who really are hungry right now, and they need to feel inspired. If we can catch those students at that age and say, no, what you're doing is valuable. We believe in it. Here are the tools to do that. It's not just lip service. We're not just patting you on the head and say, here's our emotional support for you. We're giving you that, and we're giving you the tools to make that happen. And so I believe in that deeply, because I wish I had had that. You know, we all remember like someone that came in to visit us when we were in elementary school or high school, and how that maybe shifted our entire perspective when someone says, hey, I believe in you. Hey, you can do this. Hey, what you're doing has value, and here's the value that it has. So that's why I'm in this business. That's why this organization is important to me and what we're doing. And so and you all are here, and so you know that. And hopefully we can spread the word to other individuals and young people out there in San Antonio and across the world.
And this one's for you. We come from somewhat similar. So before I worked at PAS, I ran a youth orchestra for 14 years. Nowhere in the job description did it say, you must inspire and advocate for music education with all your parents and everything else. Just what you have to do, right? We talked a little bit about Stephanie leading this organization, which has students and parents and teachers and civic leaders and that role.
We all touched on it a little bit in that, yes, we are a young country, and we have to constantly describe why music is important and why it should be part of somebody's life. I often feel like I do a two-step when I have to go and talk to someone, because first I have to answer why, and then I have to, start explaining why they need to be supportive of this. I grew up in rural New Jersey, where there wasn't a lot of access to the arts other than what I had in my home or what I got in elementary school. So organizations like ours, like the youth orchestra, those things didn't exist. And so many people take that for granted in this town, but there is also a great divide, and there are many people who don't have